the country over the time.
How has this changed your life?
Well, one of the things when a lot of times when people go back, I'll hear from them by emails or things, and typically you'll hear, oh gosh, the materialism in the United States is so offensive to me now, and the this and the that. Well, I mean, things were offensive to me for 49 years. That's not news, including my own. But there's a lot to be said for a life well lived as a thing to aspire to. But to spend this kind of time is to feel a different balance. I think I've always made an effort to know it's there. But you can start to build some muscles of understanding why you have an obligation to know it's there, and to sort of understand the ways in which the weakest link in the chain affects us.
What are your kids saying?
My kids are here. They're working here right now. Yeah.
How long do you plan to be here?
Well, as an organization, we don't plan to go. We plan to adapt, to adjust. I think our next major new push is going to be in the rubble removal and working with partners to get people returned into the neighborhoods, and to, again, work with partners and take camp management into kind of the offering of community management and advocacy, but more and more, but not in an extremely short term, demanding independence, demanding, be empowered, for every, and they're few and far between. Neglectful parent, there's a kid that you're neglecting if you say, well, if you're not going to stand up for yourself, I'm not going to stand up for you. Well, there's somebody shorter there also. So right now you've got to establish at least some kind of relative ability for the culture as at large, which is so strong, which is so committed to their families, which is so willing to work hard. Make it possible before you back off of those efforts. And then, whether you're focusing on trying to help fund a teaching hospital, whatever it is that the future brings here for this organization. For me personally, there was a time at which you're not as productive as you once were, and I saw that time coming. And so, and it doesn't mean you go away forever. It means you take a break. And so I found somebody who will do my job better than I will, has the experience, but with the experience doesn't have that typical NGO thing of, well, when I was in Darfur, we did it this way, and you kind of say, yeah, look how good Darfur's doing. This is an NGO that was born in Haiti, and in some ways we have an advantage that way. We've had a big learning curve. A lot of that learning has come from the experience of people in other NGOs. But I found somebody in Alistair Lamb, who's our new country director, who I feel very confident is going to take this thing and move it dynamically forward. So it's time for me to become a bit of a fundraiser, and if they've got an emergency or need me to introduce them to somebody that I know that might be helpful here, then I'll do that part. But.
And what do you say to Hollywood? What's your message to Hollywood and then to the American people?
I think the American people are Hollywood, and Hollywood is, I don't have a specific to say to anybody other than, while we talk about the need for education, educate yourself on the places you put your money, what they do, what they don't do, and don't think that the work is done in Haiti.
You mean don't think it's completed, that it's finished?
Yeah, there are some things that governments alone can't do, and there will be abuses by governments of the private sector, and the government should do more. I was at a panel with Raj Shah the other day, and he said it. He talked about all the great things the United States has done, both in the private and the public sector. He said, but it's not enough, and that's true. It's not enough, and it's not enough for every individual citizen right now, and that does not negate what we have in our own country. It doesn't negate the hole in the ground that a corporation is poisoning the ocean with.
How do you stop the problems of disaster capitalism, that people will promise billions, countries will, and it goes into the pockets of a few?
Well, how do I do it? I think the National Security Council adopts a resolution that applies not only to that, but also the exploitation of funds from organizations here, or from individuals or corporations here, or governments here, and you make it a crime against humanity, or whatever you want to call it, and you take them to an international court if they violate in a time of disaster.
Who is it that inspires you? What gives you the strength to go to Iraq when your government is waging war with the country, going to Iran when it's almost waging war, dealing with New Orleans after Katrina, now being here in Haiti, not coming down for a photo op, but living here for month after month and running this camp?
Well, you know, the place that rings out to me, I went to Cuba to do an interview with Raul Castro for The Nation. And when I came back, it was my second trip. And I came back, and I'd gone as a journalist. And I was facing an investigation, which I'd faced for violating the embargo in Iraq as well. This is a very costly thing. And I thought to myself, you know, I'm an American. I'm curious about something. I want to know the truth about something. I want to smell the smells of something. I want to read a book. Nobody deserves to burn that book. And my father was a guy who was a bombardier and a tail gunner in World War II doing low-altitude bombings over major cities in Germany, principally Berlin. And they had a 7-mission life expectancy, and his unit broke the record with 37 missions. He came back with a chest full of well-deserved medals, and within 5 years was told by his country that he was a communist and he couldn't have a job in the United States. He was never bitter. He saw it as a phase. He always believed in the United States. And he was a very gentle man. In my aspiration to be a gentle man that fails me every year, I have an additional obligation in honoring him to at least proactively make the attempt for gentle things to happen.
What was it that your father did when he came back?
Well, he had been an actor. He was gaining some success. He had a contract, was doing leads in smaller movies, and had great success on the Broadway stage. And then within a couple of months of the height of that, he was working in a plastics factory for 5 years. And then when he came back to acting, he couldn't pick up the pace of what was happening, and he ended up going into television directing and providing as a great father.
And how do you feel about your success?
Oh, they were very supportive. I mean, I grew up in a family. My mother's an actress and a writer and a painter, and where, you know, being in the arts was a good thing. It was a noble thing, and all of that. And so it was. There was a lot of support.
Any other words you'd like to share?
Thanks for coming.
Actor Sean Penn speaking to us in Haiti. The two-time Oscar award-winning actor now is a camp manager at a tent camp. He manages in Pétionville in Port-au-Prince. The tent camp has 55,000 Haitians made homeless by the earthquake. His organization is JPHRO, JPHaitianReliefOrganization.org. Special thanks to Nicole Salazar, Sharif Abdel-Qadoos. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us.